Hello gainers, I'm Ralphie and welcome to my channel called Fitter Philosophy, in which, that's better, in which I discuss experience-based philosophical stuff and share personal experience because the transfer of information, particularly between the generations, is very important to be informed. Now, it's not about being misinformed or being pro-informed. It is simply about us as individuals navigating the reality in which we have no choice but to live. Well, we call it living. It's partially living and existing, but existing in a positive way. We are all prisoners of circumstance, and bearing that in mind, we're on our own as individuals. Doesn't matter what species you are, where you're from, where you're at. All sentient individual life is a self-contained unit on its own, partially or fully dependent on others. However, there is a point in our day, in our time, which we should make fully ours, and that is personal space. Personal space is hugely important. It's something that I've grown more appreciative of over the years. In my personal space, I do not allow others, no matter how friendly they are. And in my personal space, I take time to reflect, to think, and enjoy a bit of peace and quiet. Because we are living in a very noisy world, particularly the modern world. It was far easier in the old days to navigate your way to peace and quiet, because people lived in villages and small communities, and all you had to do was go walk a few miles to a quiet field or a forest or a glade or a seashore somewhere, and you had reflective personal space. This is a point at which we connect with ourselves on a deeper level, and frequently the transaction is accompanied by silence. One of the problems with the modern world is too many people live in cities, and there are, because of connectivity, too many people, even when they think they're on their own, they're not. They're being listened to, they're being monitored, they're being groomed, and I'm talking about collective social grooming here. It is what it is. One of the most important things in the modern world is taking the time and making the time to actually find a personal space where we can be comfortable with no media, no phones, no computers, no cameras, no eavesdropping, no surveillance, where we can actually properly relax in our own personal space to reconnect meaningfully with the self. Nobody should know us better than we know ourselves. This is just one of the basic truths of life, because despite sympathy and friendship and all the rest of it, it's a solitary journey. End of. And for the people who are very comfortable with personal space and the development of it, whether you're a Tibetan monk or a Christian monastery, a Christian monk, and that you find these things in religious institutions for a reason. You find that it is within the spirituality focus that people choose to be more isolated, particularly in mountaintops and simply in remote, often physically challenging areas. And the reason for this is it helps to build greater self-spiritual awareness that is not necessarily absolutely defined through the orthodox medium of our world's religion or another belief system or a club or a fad. Take your pick. You're spoiled for choice. With personal space, the connectivity of self to self is invaluable, and you don't understand the real true value of it until you experience it. The calm it brings you, the opportunity to breathe undistracted in a world around us which is constantly bombarding us with negative news, fake news, misinformation, accurate information, good intentions, evil. Everything's in that melting point being churned around and then thrown at us. And sure, to get by in communities, we need to absorb some of it, but certainly not all of it. Because a lot of it, in fact, in the fullness of time, will be seen to be absurdity and nonsense. It's what's called the white noise of the human condition.